I'm just No, we're fine. We're fine. It's green again. Never mind. I'm sure there was a few frame drops there, but we're good. Just a couple
You know what it
seconds of
is,
dropping
Mike?
down. What is it, John?
It's them spiders in the router. You know,
It is
have
getting
you
hot.
checked on them?
It's getting hot, John. We're coming into spring now, and they've been in hibernation. They've disappeared for a bit. A lot of webs around, but no trace of the spiders. But now that spring's coming around, I can almost feel them coming in. They're coming, John. I know they're coming. That modem is nice and warm, ready for them whenever they want it. I submit. I don't want to fight them.
Yeah, you can't fight against spiders in real life. You can't deal with broodmother. It is what it is. Motivate.Trust. They go with the Mirana first, so they've got a way of clearing out the Enchantress creeps with the arrow. T1 go into the ET, so they're starting to build up some of that team fight. Still maybe lacking a bit of control. It's not the hardest lockdown. Fearless, if you get something slippery on the mid, can kind of run around, but the same thing goes with Motivate.Trust. Arrow does feel like it needs setup, especially on the off lane. You could, I guess, go for Sand King again, this time running it off for Masaros. So Arrow and Burst Strike combination. You could go for the DK offlane here for Masaros as well. Dragon Tail Arrow combination to play with to finally build up their own lockdown. Can kind of handle the Terrorblade. If he does get caught off guard, that is a good amount of magic damage that will fly through.
Yeah, it absolutely will be. 23 seconds though. Motivate.Trust really running out of reserve time. They are gonna go down the Mars route. Alright, so Masaros Mars online now. You do have that double stun combination in the offlane, though I think we saw this the other day, and it is naturally quite a bit more difficult to land the spear into the arrow than, say, the DK or the Sand King. But it can still work. If you land the spear first, the arrow is not too hard to set up. T1, do they mind this Mars? We'll see. I mean, naturally, the Mars in the laning stage against the TB is quite nice. However, even against the Enchantress, it can be quite decent because you do have the Bulwark there. Not that you particularly enjoy going for those early levels in Bulwark, but you might just have to against the Enchantress.
You know, it's I think the one thing that Mars gives you from the offlane is a really protective, like a protective and aggressive sort of offlaner. You can keep your Medusa safe, the arena to zone them out. The Medusa can hit from outside into the arena, so you can get your damage going that way. T1, they go into the Invoker here for Carl. So we go back to the Invoker. You don't have the most amazing setup for the Invoker spells yet. We're going to have to see what Cuckoo does take on his offlane. If he wants, the option for his Magnus is still there, and though you don't get too much value with, say, the Cleave on the Terrorblade in his ranged form, the Empower plus eventually the Alacrity on the Terrorblade does sound pretty terrifying. So, you know, you just soup up your pause one to hit really hard. The Medusa might not be able to keep up with all that damage.
So you don't think this is... You think Magnus offlane, are you saying?
Could work out for T1 if they want to. It looks like Motivate.Trust are banning out the Tide and stuff. It looks like T1 just don't want the Sand King combination with the Mirana. I guess Motivate could still flex Mars mid. I think the Magnus could still fit in for T1. I mean, Cuckoo could maybe play an offlane ET as well, and they could just pick a harder 5 here for T1 side. That could also be a possibility. Offlane ET is a lot of pressure early on, lots of damage as well if you want to play that way.
Oh, they're going to go for the Nature's Prophet route, a bit of the CTM book coming out here from T1. That should be the offlane Prophet, though, which I believe Cuckoo does run as well. Can be very annoying with that global presence. Motivate, they're going to go into the Fearless Storm, one of his specials. So both drafts looking very spicy going into this game too. John, Motivate, they're one game away from being knocked out. How do they force us to a game 3 with this draft? Like, do you believe in their draft going into this game too?
I do. I think they've got a much more stable win condition on Toy this time. He doesn't have to worry about meeting some very sensitive item spikes and kind of competing with farm, as he should be able to keep up with the pace of the Terrorblade. The Terrorblade will have a better time in the first 20 minutes, even with a couple of stat items. The Medusa can't quite match the damage output of a Terrorblade with Metamorphosis up, and also considering that Alacrity can fly onto the Terrorblade as well from Carl. I do think that T1 has a stronger draft regardless. Like, I like Motivate's draft better than Game 1's, but T1 still has this giant win condition on TB. They can take early activity with that Nature's Prophet. We have seen that from multiple players, just willing to teleport in, look for that kill opportunity. So I think T1 might be able to kind of shut down Motivate.Trust fast. The issue for Motivate is sharing farm between Dusa and Storm. So the Storm might have to take early activity here, but we have seen if the laning phase doesn't run off for Storm, your first item buildup can get stalled out. Like the Kaya or the Orchid can be a bit slower than you expect, and without those items up, Storm's presence is pretty minimal unless you just look for support pickoffs.
Okay, fair enough. I do kind of agree with you in that sentiment. I mean, it's very hard for me to doubt the 23 Savage Terrorblade as well, right? Like we've seen the man on it before, and he does do some great work. Very curious to see what Motivate can do to try and fight back. I do at least like the fact as well that you do have this kind of second win condition with Fearless on the Storm. So you're not like overly reliant on just the POS 1 Medusa. You know, the Storm can kind of take over as well if necessary. But we're getting to Game 2 very, very soon and find out exactly what these two teams are going to be up to. Again, Motivate.Trust 1 game away from being eliminated from the Lootbet Pro Series 7. T1 1 game away from proceeding, or we could be 1 game away from a Game 3. We'll find out in just a moment. As we'll head into a John game number 2. And as always, we'll start off with the Lootbet odds and see what's going on over there. See what the betting crowd is thinking right now. Apparently it is still T1 as the favorites. Fairly close odds, you know, considering everything. I believe it's $1.53 to $2.35. So pretty close considering how dominant Game 1 was by T1.
Yep, and I think with T1, when you see them this confident, spraying, having fun with each other, you know they're feeling good. Right? This is a team that I'd say, you know, when you have a captain like Cuckoo, you can kind of tell the mental state of the team by how goofy they're acting. This is very goofy coming out from them. Look at that. They're just fighting over the sticker priority.
I do like that one. Is it PSG LGD, that one there? I'm pretty sure it is.
So.
Yeah, I do like that one. It's a classic RTZ as well. These stickers are making me drop frames now, John. Gotta be careful, T1.
Early tips between Savage and Toy, keeping that camaraderie up. I wish I could understand their all chat, but unfortunately, these are things that we would not know. I do not read Thai, sadly enough.
Yeah.
I am but a man, Mike. You know, that's it.
An uncultured
I have my
man.
limits.
Very uncultured. Should learn how to read Thai like Major.
Oh, I'm sorry. Tell me what they're saying, Mike.
Well, it's gone now, John. I can't look at it now, but obviously I know how to read it. I mean, I would have translated had you asked, but you didn't. Now the moment's... Maybe next time, John. You ask me next time. I'll translate for you. No problem.
All right. All right. Oh, here you go. Here's a live test for you.
Sorry, John. I must have had 23 Savage muted. I did not see what he said. Toy, could you stop typing in Thai, please? I thought they were unpausing, John. I thought I was going to get away with it. No, you got me.
You
clearly
your words.
Yeah, clearly I don't read Thai. I mean, I was just joking around. I would like to though. Maybe I'll pick it up one day.
Yeah, you could ask Savage for some lessons. I'm sure he's willing to teach people, so you can get into the all chat action. Still, we've got some Dota action breaking out. Do take a look at that bot lane. Cuckoo on Nature's Prophet getting some blocks. Zephyr on that ET. And we've seen Elder Titan before, right? You just run people down with the Astral Spirit, get the right clicks off. The Abaddon can be a bit of a trickier opponent to trade hits with. Aphotic Shield might stall out that aggression. Of course, Set 0 on the Abaddon is up there as well with Toy on the Dusa. So overall, I think this should be fairly good for Toy to just farm up. He can just focus on getting that CS up. Cuckoo will have better lane control with the tree and so. And Zephyr has to put the work in to put his body in between to slow that farm up.
Certainly so. I think Set 0 will have a really nice time in this lane. Not too much to harass him out on this Abaddon. Was top, or rather mid lane. Carl and Fearless going to be at it on the Storm and the Invoker. Right now, very even matchup, and I do expect it to remain an even matchup. Perhaps you could argue Fearless will have the advantage though with the Static Remnant, so he can farm the side camps. Carl can't really do that on the Invoker. But you can certainly just keep the lane pushed out to make sure Fearless never leaves the lane. That's one way to do it.
Yeah, just keep getting that clearance home.
Yeah. Top lane is apparently where the first blood does occur. Whitemon able to pick it up, and it was just impetus shots being thrown up.
Yeah, that's a bit of a surprise. Maybe just out of position there on Mirana. Of course, the top lane for Savage and Whitemon should be very steady. You play with Metamorphosis, you get your farm up. The combination for Motivate.Trust is strong, but you have to land a spear first. You can't fully rely on the arrow first, and that is easier said than done. There's a lot of armor as well on Savage, so if you don't manage to land those, right-click trades don't tend to feel all too good. And for Savage, this is all you want. Sit back, farm, get the space out from Whitemon. As long as Whitemon gets that zoning, you're very happy just kind of AFKing here.
Am I really getting that micro stutter bug in a game we're casting? I've never had this before. You know that stutter bug you have when you're playing the game, John?
Yeah, where it just feels terrible.
Yeah, I'm kind of having that right now, which I haven't experienced when we've been casting yet. Not sure if it's just the server issues between Oz and on SEA. I'll keep an eye on it. We won't restart quite yet because it doesn't look too bad, but maybe in about a minute we might have to do a quick reconnection to see if that'll fix the issue. So definitely the first time I've experienced it though while we've been casting, which is again very strange.
It's a beta game. It happens.
Yeah.
What is happening now as well, it's a pretty good start for T1. First blood goal their way. They're just getting control in each lane. Cuckoo's just able to really zone out the Abaddon. There's not much impact here from set 0. Toy, his last hits are trailing behind. Savage is also not quite up there, but he is having a better time than Medusa, and that's something you will have to watch out for. As long as Cuckoo gets the stable build-up and controls the wave, you're pretty happy with just slowing down Deuce's farm without kill opportunities.
Yeah, certainly so. A very kind of smooth laning stage for everyone involved. Mid lane, Fearless going to try and go into Carl, but he's going to be out of mana now. Does still have a couple bottle charges. Definitely didn't have enough to quite pursue Carl. Of course, as the Storm, you want to apply as much pressure as possible, but you've got to give props to Carl on this Invoker. He's actually ahead of Fearless in terms of CS, which is quite impressive.
He's just been on point with his usage of the Tornado, forcing Fearless back, forcing him to think twice about going for those aggressive plays. Does manage to snag the Water Rune, and they should be able to secure top if Q commits. They've got the ward down as well to watch rotations. Carl, of course, Invoker, not a bottle carrier, so you're not going to really need to rush down for that. More for Fearless. The side of T1, Whitemon getting some early activity, trying to snipe out bounties. Doesn't really get it, but gets a nice courier kill. So he does get some gold flowing his way. Should start to see Whitemon at some point either build up stacks or contest that triangle and just kind of scout out, maybe get a block off. But it's the beauty with a Terrorblade. Once you have Metamorphosis, you can just kind of leave him alone.
Look at Masaros. He has the pull walk up. They can't kill him. They just can't do anything. I mean, it's so ridiculous. Like, it's too much damage block. Like, that's a Metamorphosis level 2. Whitemon's throwing impetuses at Masaros and nothing's happening. You just hear just the gong going.
Yeah. The issue is, for Masaros, he's not really stopping Savage's farm. I think overall you're happy with that on T1 if you don't find a kill. As long as your Terrorblade farms, as long as you're not dying to the Spear-Arrow combination, you'll take it. And Savage is just, again, having a very free lane up top.
That he is. Whitemon now going to be chased down by Q for a little bit. They can't land the arrow, they can't really expect to get the kill, but they do get the arrow. Masaros didn't really have a spear angle, though. The spear wouldn't have reached back towards that back line of the tree. Meanwhile, bot lane, Toy. It's been sprouted up. Bit of harassment here from Cuckoo. They will get through the mana pool of Toy. Still going to have set 0 around, but they'll even find the courier now, getting rid of the brown boots. Immediate rotation coming in. They're going to try and help out. Q is here on the Mirana. He does have that arrow up. Who do you target? I mean, Zephyr's just turning around and hitting him back. Is he dead? He's going to leap away. That was his last leap charge. Arrow still there. Another Astral Spirit here from Zephyr. Set 0 will continue the chase down. Arrow not going to land, and now Zephyr feels very confident to turn around. In fact, he'll just TP in front of them. Get that reset at the fountain. This rotation amounts to nothing from Motivate.
They're trying to buy a lot of space out for Toy. He's still lagging behind in farm. And Cuckoo's just doing a fantastic job of being aggressive, of preventing the flash farm coming out for Medusa. Again, with Treants up on hand, you can just control, get the denies off, juggle the wave around. And the Abaddon just can't do much. Like, it's such a defensive support. You don't really want to run down the ET because you might lose out in the right-click trade. So overall, I think T1 are meeting their conditions a bit better. Their lanes are going really smoothly. At some point, you can just expect Savage to dip into the jungle. Cuckoo, maybe once he has parts of his Orchid up, he can look for the Nature's Prophet teleport plays and just kind of try to get some aggression for the team. But with his kind of slower pace, I think you are actually happier on T1's end because you reach this Terrorblade spike a lot faster. Whereas for the Medusa, because of the slow laning phase, Toy's going to have to work extra hard to catch up and farm.
Savage, though, is being rotated upon here. Fearless didn't have the vision initially. I don't think he saw Savage. Very unfortunate they didn't have a ward to scout out that Terrorblade. Otherwise, they may have been able to zip in for an easy Vortex and Arrow. Instead, they are going to run into Whitemon. So they might be able to get the Enchantress kill here. And, well, without the Untouchable up, it's not going to be too hard of a kill and they'll get it. In fact, Toy's the one to take the kill with the Mystic Snake.
Still wrapping in here, though.
Fearless, pretty much out of mana. Stomp is there. That's a big trade. T1 onto Toy now. Can they get a block going with the Treants? Cuckoo's trying his best. The ensnares there from Whitemon. Now they get the 3 block going on Toy. He's still going to run out as Cuckoo is the one to get caught. And Toy barely makes it out with his life intact. Zephyr, he was trying his best to get the damage out in time, but didn't quite have it. And now it looks like he's going to die as well. They will surround. Spear is there. Masaros is able to take the kill on the Mars.
Nice punishment coming out from Motivate.Trust. It looked a bit dicey to start off with. But they overcommit, and now Fearless.
Gonna zip in. They found the big target they wanted. 23 Savage. Does have the Sunder up. Might need to get it off ASAP, but the Spear is there. Very nice pick off by Fearless on the Storm. Masaros around just in time to get the final bit of damage out. However, Toy, he stuck around. He didn't go for the reset. Whitemon can't get in range for the enchant, though. They'll have to go after set 0 instead. Had they gotten Toy, it would have been huge, but they weren't quite able to close the gap on the Medusa. Now Zephyr in trouble again. He's been caught up by Fearless, and well, he's not dead yet. He wants to go for the stomp, but they do get him in the end. Carl now try to chase down Fearless, who does not have any mana left. Nice spear away from Masaros. May have created enough of a gap. And now they'll turn their attention onto the Mars. Trying to get whatever they can. EMP out, that'll drain all the mana of Masaros, but he's still not dying. He just holds the shield up, and nothing happens. Now Fearless, he wants to zip back in onto Whitemon, and he might just get him. He does. Toy, he'll join in. Cuckoo does get caught by the spear. They'll find another.
It's a really deep chase from T1 trying to get that punishment. Motivate.Trust in a really good spot to turn it around. It looked a bit dicey when Toy was caught out earlier on, but they didn't manage to lock him in, and the risk does pay off. For T1, I think all they're really happy about is that Savage got space down bot, took a tier 1 tower by himself, is steadily building a farm, but they're not done.
Yeah, Fearless has been very, very active here with Q, and they'll get another kill onto Whitemon. That's why Fearless loves this hero so much, just the amount of space he can create on this Storm. And this is a hero where you generally see them playing very passive for the first 15 minutes. But Fearless already being involved in 6 of the 8 kills that Motivate.Trust have got. It's a very active Storm Spirit player.
It's just down to the fact that he's got at least some parts of his Orchid up. He's got a little bit more mana and regen to play with, and that's just enough for him to follow up on his teammates' moves. So Motivate.Trust are moving his unit really well. T1, I think they just need to reel it back a notch. Maybe just wait for Savage to get up a couple more items. Does lose his Courier, which will stall out his Yasha a bit, but they're still lining up for the mid-tier 1 push. And for Motivate.Trust, they need to find the angle to get that control off. If they get a good zip arrow, they can still defend here.
Cold Snap is out onto Q, but he's out. He's all right. He's out of range. Savage, just leave the illusions behind. They'll get that T1 mid. Pretty big objective to take here for T1, because we always kind of mention it. The Medusa, it loves that jungle space to farm, and right now Toy doesn't even have the Dragon Lance up, so he needs a bit more space. As Carl, he had his TP cancelled, and now the Vortex is there from Fearless. Nice tornado, but they landed the arrow. Carl, he's still trying to get out, but no, they'll get him in the end. Nice pick off now from Motivate. Cuckoo? Nah, he's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I think T1 are fairly happy. Again, you can see everyone taking activity.
He's not
but
fine.
Savage, although Cuckoo.
Yeah, he's not fine, John. They got the arena. He went back in towards that triangle. Not 100% sure what the objective was there, but he does get punished immediately by Masaros.
Yeah, I think for T1 again, they don't need to be this aggressive. If they are, they need to be hunting down the Dusa. Nice tower taken by Set0. Deny wasn't quite there from Zephyr. All these small mistakes starting to pile up a bit. Motivate.Trust are getting a little bit more off the map now. Less than 1k lead on their side, 10-3. A lot of the farm is still hanging here on Savage for T1, but the distribution for Motivate.Trust, Fearless, Masaros are getting some space out. Toy still lagging behind, but as long as they protect the triangle very well, which Motivate.Trust has done throughout this entire game, just willingly throw their bodies forward, you should still be able to catch up on the Dusa. Dragon Lance just finished up. A long way to go on that hero, but you do have the Orchid up for Fearless. So he's got the silence, he's got the control, and this could be something Motivate.Trust can play around if they want to. They're also very close to Masaros having a blink. Maybe you just wait for the blink in 400, 500 gold, but they will just go for the smoke with Fearless anyway.
They want Carl again on that Vocal. Carl trying to work towards his own Orchid, but he is well and truly off right now, and he might get caught again. Whitemon, he's around to try and break any smokes, but it may not matter. It's Carl. He seems to know something's wrong now, and will try to back. Instead, Whitemon, again, is still around. They might have to make the jump on the Enchantress instead, or they may not even get that. Of course, Whitemon very good with his positioning to get the information Carl needs to know when he has to back off. And that'll definitely save the life of the Invoker this time around.
Yeah, just not quite the rotation you were looking for there on Motivate.Trust. Again, I think they might have been better off waiting for the smoke play with the blink on Masaros, but they do have the Moonlight Shadow. They still need to use this Orchid. It is fresh on Fearless. They need a target to jump, and they are kind of blind on the map. They don't have aggressive wards out, so Motivate.Trust are just kind of taking guesses. Very good from T1 to just kind of get that control with the sentries down, preventing any forward vision, and they even get a good scan off.
That they do. Standing there in the triangle right now. So Savage, he's going to farm the left side jungle on this map. They are still going to start working on towards that tier 1 mid tower. Toy will just start kind of whacking away. This is going to be time that Toy does not get to farm though. They are prioritizing just having that extra body around for that tier 1. So I suppose you don't really have the greatest tower hitters on Motivate.Trust. Q, or Cuckoo rather, is going to go down to the bot lane. Savage now is TP'd over into the mid lane, but Masaros is just going to go for a run and is going to make it out. How did Cuckoo die, John?
Just a good dive out from Fearless with a follow-up arrow from Q. They just managed to line up. They kind of figured out that T1 was playing a bit split up, and they got the punishment off. Great kill. That is also the first Orchid use from Fearless, so it does line up with his nice power spike. The side of T1, again, you can see how unshaken they are. They just have confidence that Savage is farming a lot better than the Dusa, that Savage will deliver more damage down the line as this game goes on. Maybe by the 25-minute mark is when you really start to get excited about the Terrorblade here. And they're just throwing their bodies for it to buy that space. It is a costly way of getting that done. You're stalling out the timings here for Cuckoo, but he's also very close to his Orchid anyway. So it's not like he was completely stalled out in comparison. And even Carl's going to have an Orchid up as well. So what's that? 3 Orchids in the game. 2 for T1, 1
Masaros.
for...
Yeah, they got Whitemon. They've got Rebuke out. They will have plenty of damage. And this time they will finish off that tier 1 mid tower. No problem whatsoever now for Motivate. Still less than 1k net worth lead, but they are certainly starting to find their footing in this game number 2. It really is off the back of Fearless on that Storm, just being so active early on, just enabling his team. Now Savage, bot lane, is going to go through the tree line on the right side of the map, and pings were out. They seem to know he's around there somewhere. Fearless, I wonder if he's going to go for a look. They do have double damage plus the Orchid up. Looks like they'll leave him be, though.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Yep. Taking it easy here on Motivate.Trust side. Again, there's a severe lack of forward vision still for Motivate. All their wards are on their side of the river, so they don't have information as to where T1's at. Always a bit of a risk to run forward like that. They do pop the Moonlight Shadow.
Zip in, Carl. Again, Orchid is out. He gets the counter Orchid, though, onto Fearless. And now the Stomp's there with the Earth split up, but Carl is still ticking down and will drop. Seems like they aren't going to be able to find anyone else to try and trade with as Fearless is going to zip back in now, but he's quite low on mana. He'll go for the Vortex very confidently, but Zephyr's going to turn around now, and Fearless might be in trouble. In fact, they found even Set0's courier. Set0, he's still trapped up in the middle of all this and is going to drop. Still, Masteros? No, the Orchid. It was immediate. And he dies in the fountain.
Man, that's some quick reactions from Cuckoo. It looks like he might have been able to precast that on the Mars, knowing the angle he was coming in. And T1, they get away with a pretty big win. They lose their Invoker, sure, but you kill off the Mars, you kill off the Storm Spirit, and you had Savage around to soak some of those kills up as well. So your Terrorblade's growing bigger and bigger. It's about a 1.2k lead over Toy's Medusa. And those item spikes for the Terrorblade are starting to line up. Savage going to be rushing the BKB with his SNY finished up. Once the BKB is there, I don't think you have enough damage to rip through Savage's Terrorblade at all. Like, your damage is basically magical right now, although...
Yeah, Whitemon. Yeah, he's gonna die. Coming in for a quick D ward, but does run into a couple heroes, and with the Spirit Vessel, it's quite hard for him to survive. Still, I mean, T1, they're still having a great time, though. And it kind of goes back to this farm on Medusa, right? Like, he's second in net worth, but the Medusa just needs so much more than, say, a Terrorblade with that inbuilt metamorphosis. And you've always got to be worried about Cuckoo also snowballing into that secondary carry on the Prophet. And things can get quite scary with this Medusa, even if you are in line with Savage's farm.
It just doesn't quite match up, although Masteros?
Yeah, mid lane, they got the Invoker. Zip in, Carl. Orchid will be returned the way of Fearless. They might be able to trade here. Orchid on Orchid action. They will both go down. Set0. Try and run away, Whitemon. The Impetus shots just getting a lot of damage out as now Masteros came back in for the God's Rebuke. Stomp is there. Zephyr is going to land it. But Set0 will have the Aphotic Shield to get him out. So 1 for 1 of those mid laners. Who do you think it favors, though?
I'd say it feels a little bit better for T1, considering that Motivate.Trust had to have the arena up. It took them a little bit longer than they'd want to burst down Carl. And while that happened, Savage is just farming. Whereas in comparison, I believe Toy was still hanging around the triangle area, trying to look for the angle to follow up in the fight. So it's a bit more efficient for T1. And T1, knowing that the arena's down, they've got a big smoke opportunity. Not the longest cooldown, so they need to act quick, though.
Mid lane, Set0, almost trying to bait them in, it looks like. Fearless is right behind him. That's the target they want to jump. Carl is there. Orchid is out. They've got the Storm, but they can't break the gap. Instead, they will just commit onto Set0. Savage is going to wrap around. They just made sure with that Orchid that Fearless would not be able to help out. Again, they really had no way of catching Fearless in the backside anyway. So they get something for their time.
Yep. Not the biggest kill, but they are applying that pressure now on T1's end. And just doing a great job of stalling this game out even more. Looks like Savage might actually just be going for the Scotty first. So not opting to rush the BKB. Once he has more of those stats, the Dusa will start to feel a bit stale in comparison. Again, you still have about a 1.2k net worth gap between these two heroes. And that does mean Savage is going to have some nice lead time on the Scotty in comparison. For the side of Motivate.Trust, and they are still also trying to rush their own BKB here on Fearless. They just want to ensure the Storm can zip around, do what it needs to do. BKB for Masteros as well, just lacking a recipe. So these items should align at about the same time on BKBs, and that's when Motivate.Trust can, again, look for the big smoke opportunities to play out. T1 still satisfied with playing the slower pace of game. Carl waiting for his own BKB. Cuckoo, BKB as well. So everyone's just waiting for some spell immunity before looking for the big commitments, and it just goes back to a bit of a steady hum and flow of farming.
Still feels like T1's enjoying this, though. And that Eye of Skadi going to make life very hard for this Medusa. The thing is, if you get caught by yourself, you're not running away. Not with that Eye of Skadi up. The slow is just too intense for a range hero. Toy, he's trying to get his own Eye of Skadi up as well. Going to be a while off, though. Even at that point, you're still not going to have the damage without the Daedalus up. So it is going to take quite a bit of time, it seems like. And T1, they might just start forcing the bottom tier 2 tower. Motivate.Trust, they're going to do the exact same thing. So both teams, you know, coming to an accord to just trade those tier 2s. It's pretty standard kind of stuff. Question is, will one of the teams try to defend? It looks like Motivate will, as Masaros has TP'd in, and here come the rest. Arena is down, they've got the main target, Orchid is there as well. Can they help Savage? Not quite, they burst him down. Great start to this fight for Motivate, as now Cuckoo has also been caught in the back. He's going to try for a TP, playing with the stop, he might just make it. And he does. But they still lost the big Terrorblade. They might even lose another in the form of Zephyr and Whitemon. The 3 going down for T1.
Just strong rotation out from Motivate.Trust. Really curious as to why T1, they were in the general vicinity of Savage, but they were too far to back him up. And Savage just got punished for fully committing on the tier 2 by himself. It did take away the push from the top there for Motivate.Trust. They don't manage to find the tier 2 themselves, but they get the big kills they were looking for. They put Savage in check for a little bit longer, and they get to invade the jungle, clear out some of those camps, get their own shove in on that bot tier 1. So they're going to have a nice gold injection coming through. And Toy, well, because of that, is not feeling too bad in the Medusa. Again, maintaining that sort of gap. They do Moonlight Shadow up as well. It is hard to find the angle right now, as they are still trying to plant forward vision. They do at least have a couple of wards in that jungle now, but it's still not quite the position you want for the pickoffs, although Q will still keep hunting.
You shall. Carl. You got the Yule Scepter up, Carl. One leap, you'll be within range for that Invoker, but the Forge Spirit should give the vision. Carl, he's still being caught out. Arrow is going to land, and now Fearless is right in with that Orchid. Another nice pick off here onto that mid Invoker. And that might be able to set up Motivate.Trust for another good force kind of team fight. Sprout is there. Cuckoo not able to hold him down, and now the arena's there by Masaros to turn this fight around. They'll find another big core. Motivate just very surgical this game. Getting 2 big cores off the map. And they'll move straight into that tier 2 mid tower now. Q, he's looking for more. Yule Scepter around, he's got the arrow onto Whitemon. Savage forced the meta up and try to fight, but now the Orchid right in with Fearless onto Savage. They'd love to burst him down again. This time he won't go down quite fast as he gets the Sunder off. The Spear is there, but Masaros, he's going to put the shield up again. The damage, though, is a lot higher, but a nice arrow. Going to catch Savage. It may not matter, however. This Toy has been left behind. And a disconnection, Carl. Bit of an awkward time for him, but it does seem like they've probably got the kill here onto Toy. No Stone Gaze up, no secondary life. You've got Set Zero behind him, and you've still got Q around. I don't think they're going to be able to do enough to try and save the life of this Medusa.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tall order for them to try to go for the save. I don't think they're going to have enough. Maybe you can stall it out, though. A Photic Shield, Mist Coil can kind of buy you some time. And if you do manage to do that, you could try to go for sacrificing Set Zero instead of Toy. We'll see.
Now, Orchid's there on the Abaddon. They might kill Zephyr, and they will. Actually, Arrow does land. He might be able to fight back. Savage is dropping low. He'll turn now. Back on a Q. Set Zero, he will go down. Savage on 45 HP. He gets a triple kill. Oh, boy, that was close. You saw that Medusa starting to fight back, and you're like, wait a goddamn minute. Is he going to actually be able to get this kill? Not quite.
Yeah, leading edge there for Savage. But he did play that fight really well. He had the Sunder to survive through. The Spear actually saved him as well early on in that fight. And with those big kills, they get to go into the Roshan. You know, the Stone Gaze down for a little bit longer. They can't quite just fully commit the Storm zipping in. You could try here on Fearless. He is in a rather good position, but it looks like he might not be aware Roche is happening. So the first Aegis going the way of T1.
Not yet, John. Fearless is waiting. Sunstrike is going to be there. No, he won't go for the zip, but the arena is down. Masaros, he got a TB illusion with the spear. And now Savage, even without the meta, can get right to work. Has that alacrity up there from Carl. No, they're going to leave Masaros be. Too risky for T1 to continue this fight. They got what they came for anyway. Plus a DD rune, apparently.
Yep. That's what, all day now, Roshan to DD, although...
Oh, another awkward pause coming out. I mean, nobody's around Fearless.
Cuckoo.
Yeah, always got something to say, this guy. Big boss. I mean, Zephyr's got no way to survive. Let's be fair. I mean, nobody's around him. This pause, it doesn't matter. Motivate's going to get the kill for sure.
Yep, should be nice and simple. There's the arrow. They'll play tag a bit. Eventually Fearless finds it. T1. They're still maintaining network parity here. Less than 1k lead for T1's way. Lots of that farm mainly on Savage. They will finally get that bot tier 2. So they're the first ones to find a tier 2 tower. They can take the outpost, slow down the EXP gain of Motivate.Trust, and start to lock in more map control here. So,
they found another Q on the Invoker. Orchid there. They have a follow-up Orchid if they need it, and they will. Yule Scepter out is going to buy some time, but the Tornado perfectly timed by Carl. Apparently he's lagging, but not lagging that badly. Still lands it very nicely.
Yep, a great pick off to get. Starting to build more charges up on that urn. Carl saving up for the travel, so he's going to have that presence on the map. Just join his team as need be while trying to split that farm. Really interesting to see Cuckoo as well going into the Ags on the Nature's Prophet. So he's going to have Entangle. He's going to have some team fight control with a Rat of Nature up at some point. And they are playing aggressive here. Set 0?
Oh, they've gone into set 0. I thought they might have been going top onto Fearless. Set 0? Yeah, he's going to be alright. You know, that Entangle is really annoying. With the Aghanim Scepter on the Prophet. It can actually be quite game-changing in the middle of a team fight.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Oh yeah. It's basically, it almost feels like, what is that? Overgrowth flying around, right? Very annoying, although.
Good. BKB up, gets the Orchid onto Fearless, but the Moonlight Shadow apparently going to be enough. Cuckoo will get out in time before the BKB does run out. Whitemon may not be so lucky, however. Toy's got the Skadi up now, slowing down Whitemon quite a bit. Stomp, though, is there, but they got the arrow. No Sunder. Savage. He's going to keep Whitemon alive. Now Toy, he might need a back because they're ready to fight. The Masaros is in. Arena Spear is on an illusion. Savage is still alive. Stonegaze is there. They've still got that Aegis though. Deafening Blast, great from Carl. It just puts a stop to this whole team fight as they find set 0. And now they're onto Toy, who's been left alone again. They went back for the reset, but they never got the Medusa out. Toy, he's still trying to man fight this out the best he possibly can, but he's out of mana. Carl, he wants more. Man. They're onto Q. Cuckoo, unable to get the Orchid off in time. Fearless going to zip back in, but the Orchids are out. BKB now available on Fearless so he can fight back. Even through the Orchid, they'll land the arrow. They'll at least get Cuckoo as a trade.
Overall, it's still a very good fight for T1. They forced the buyback on the Abaddon. They killed the Medusa off. Savage playing on edge, but that is something you can do when you have the Aegis up. Great saves to save his best friend, Whitemon. Whitemon just gets to keep laughing along, singing whatever he's singing in team chat. The side of T1, they're not quite pushed away. They're still posturing around the triangle. It is a bit risky to be up there, but I guess with how big Savage is, you just don't really care. He's 4k above the Medusa. Scotty completely up. Going into the Satanic next to just have more of that lifesteal on hand. And once Savage is just comfy enough to stand and fight, you still don't have enough on Motivate.Trust to collapse on him unless you really just throw everything you have. Still the smoke out here from MTG though.
Carl will be a nice target. I mean, every time you can kill that Invoker, you're happy, but he's still going to back off and looks like he is going to be fine. Or is he? He's scouting out for his team. No sentries around to see Carl just right behind them. And now Orchid is there. They want to try and jump Masaros. Cold Snap is out. They've got that double Orchid, but the BKB is going to be dropped. And now Fearless zips right back in onto the Invoker. It turns out Masaros was not quite the target. So I don't think they knew he had the BKB up. Of course, he can just turn around and get a nice easy kill with Fearless.
They didn't respect that spell immunity coming through from Motivate.Trust, and it keeps the game even. T1, they just haven't had a wider lead in a very long time. I think the max we saw it was maybe about 3k the way of T1. Now it's just hanging at about 1k. They will not have Aegis for long. It does expire right now, so you don't have that second life on Savage. It might be time to just relax a bit more, wait for the next Roshan, maybe slowly force some towers with all the illusions and all the damage you can bring out. But you will have to be cautious now as Savage does run the risk of dying.
He's going to back off at the right time, but the Moonlight Shadow is there and Fearless is going to start moving in. He is underneath the sentry at the moment. In fact, Whitemon just places another. Meta is available, but like you mentioned, no Aegis up. Masaros, that's a great arena down, but they got the Orchid. He doesn't have the BKB yet. He needs 2 seconds for it. He should eventually be able to get it, and now the Vortex is there. Fearless, he does grab a couple. Stone Gaze, but a massive Earth Splitter. It just doesn't do enough. Zip forward, Fearless wants to keep going. Whitemon is going to be caught by our Storm as Masaros. Now with the potty blocks onto 23 Savage. That's the big boy they want. And Spear is on illusion again. Savage still trying to fight this one out, but the Orchid is there. He has no way through it. He'll try to fight. Fearless is still alive, though. He just won't die. Carl, he'll finally get the tornado out. In fact, killing 2 with that tornado, but it's going to cost him his own life. Bit of a mess of a team fight. Savage without a BKB, in fact, he had the BKB, but once it wears off, it's just very hard to fight back. He gave it the best he could, but these Orchids proving to be very annoying.
That it is. T1, they're probably going to need maybe at least one Lotus Orb down the line to just protect that Terrorblade on Savage. Motivate.Trust managing to break up the fight well. They found the angles to zip in. In the end, you sacrifice 2 cores. But you have taken the effort lead back your way. You're narrowing the gap between the Dusa and the Terrorblade. Toy already has that Crystallis up. Daedalus not too far off. So the Dusa damage is kicking into gear. And T1, they need to be a bit more cautious. They need to respect that. They need to play around Metamorphosis early on. Look for the pickoffs. They need to get that follow-up control. Maybe at this point you just wait for the Ags on Cuckoo. Like, just rely on the Entangled to start fights off for you, get the follow-up control from there, and try to get your burst damage in that window of control. I'm sure Motivate.Trust, now at the 33-minute mark, when the game slows down for them, it feels a lot better. You're playing with the Dusa, you're playing with a big Divine Carrier if things go out of hand, and you've got that win condition that can just keep deep pushing waves very safely. So T1 have to be really, really cautious as to how much they give out to Toy, as he is just really scaling up now.
And he is. I mean, Daedalus up. He's hitting very hard on this Medusa. This is that point where you feel a lot more comfortable now if you are Toy. T1, they're getting close to that Satanic on Savage, and he's already queued up the Daedalus as that final item to pick up on the TB, as we are going to have a pause now out from Q. He has disconnected from the game as well. So 33.5 minutes in, let's have a cheeky look at Dota Plus and see what it's thinking. And it's actually quite heavily in favor of Motivate.Trust, 78% to 22% of T1. And I suppose that is the Storm and Medusa factor just kicking in there.
Yep, and they've got that insane scaling, especially once Fearless gets the Ags up, AoE Vortex. It's going to ruin T1 if they don't pop their BKBs fast enough. Always a cause of concern, seeing that in the Storm flying out in a timely manner. For T1, you just need more in Savage. Like, after the Satanic, he's going to go into the Daedalus as well. Once you have that Crystallis up, at least you do start to do a lot more damage, true. And the one thing for the Terrorblade is that you're going to need to start thinking about Ag Shard as well. Well, not the Shard, but the Ags itself, just for that Terror Wave to have more Metamorphosis. Maybe even a refresh might be necessary here for Savage if he feels these fights do go on for too long. We'll see if he gets enough space to really build into those items quickly. Again, the Terrorblade is still #1 in net worth, But it does feel like T1 has been caught off guard a couple of times. Motivate.Trust has been playing their lineup extremely well to the strengths they have on hand.
While we are on a break, John, have you been you seen the new Vietnamese cosplays going around for Dota 2?
Oh yeah.
Oh, they've been fantastic, haven't they?
Oh, they really have. It's always on point. Creativity to get that done. There are a whole bunch I remember seeing that were just using, your body, your entire body.
I like the Bane one. They're the two people making the Bane. I don't know if you saw that. That was really good. I just saw one recently as well tonight with the Witch Doctor one. It's pretty clever how they make it work. Like they emulate the hero really well, but it's like a cheap homemade cosplay. But it's very well done. I do appreciate the amount of effort it must take to make it look good.
Yeah, I think my favorite was like a shadow shaman. So it's just him making this face and hiding his pupils and holding
the
two
dog.
slippers.
And he's got the dog, right? In the shackles.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Yeah, it's good.
Really takes a different kind of mind to think that way, like a very creative mind.
Not like us.
Very not like us. Otherwise we'd be doing one. Who would you cosplay, Mike? I think with your beard you might do a good Zeus, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, I'd have to be
Dyed white.
physically fit, Jonathan. And
Are you suggesting Storm?
I mean, look, I'm just saying I don't necessarily look like a Greek god when it comes to my lower half. But I guess I could have pretended. Nobody knows that,
Yeah, you could have.
I could have.
I gave it to
can't.
you for free there.
You did give it. I mean, I probably would be a bit more of a Storm. The Storm's been, the Storm doesn't, he's all right.
He looks good. He lost weight.
Yeah.
Remember Old Storm?
I
That
remember
guy
Old
could have
Storm.
used.
Yeah, he was just a bunch of spheres. Old Storm. He was like a.
What
What about you, John? Who would you cosplay?
I don't know. Warlock, I guess, because he's just I just carry a
that's
book
so
around.
boring. That's
and a
so
walking stick.
boring.
He's my favorite hero too. I could do Pugna. I think I'm short enough around certain people, but I could be Pugna related to other people. I mean, I'm tall for Filipino standards apparently, but
Really?
it's still pretty short. It's still pretty short. Yeah, I'm tall by Filipino standards. I think I'm one of the taller people in my friends group.
Okay.
Still short, but relatively tall. So I could still pull off a Pugna if I wanted to. Just paint green, find something cursed and call it Nether Ward. I know.
Man, you must feel so cool having friends, John. Wish I knew how that felt.
Shadows.
Yeah,
T1.
like one or two people in my head.
T1 Motivate.Trust against each other once again. Unpause is there. Invis out, Arena down. Masteros, he does get the Order Titan. It's not a bad way to start this fight, and they will take him down. Savage, he's popped the meta. Set 0. Gonna take some of the damage now. The Vortex is in. Fearless underneath the tier 2 tower, trying to go after the Invoker. Forces out the BKB Savage. Still trying to go into Masteros. He's taking all the damage. This shield, this bulwark, is just taking all the damage away from 23 Savage. Toy, though, again has been left behind in the Medusa. They'll use him as bait. They'll take down Zephyr on the Order Titan without buyback, but now you're out of mana on your Medusa and Toy. He's going to drop. 2-for-1 trade. I suppose if you commit the, if you count the dieback, it's a 2-for-2 on Zephyr. But they are going straight into that Roshan.
Yeah, it's going to be Roche number 2, free Ag Shard, Aegis Cheese, a lot to play with here for the side of T1. Motivate.Trust looked like a good opening, although Masteros.
Yeah, they found another. Even better. I mean, you wouldn't expect it there for Masteros to get caught out like that, just pushing the top lane. You would have assumed they were just taking Roshan, but, well, they are. They can also go for the kill.
And that's a great kill to have. No buybacks in these heroes, so there's no opportunity to steal anything away. And Savage does get to pick every single thing up. He does hand the shard over to Cuckoo. So you've got the Sprout with a greater treant, even more push potential coming out here. Cuckoo did shift away from the Ags. He went for the Lotus Orb. So he's got a great Dispel to play with. And with the greater treants, the push is a lot easier to pull off here.
Man, those are adorable. The big treants. Look at them.
They're cacti, right? Look at him. Big, punchy cactuses. Cacti. Adorable.
Yeah, you are correct, John. It is cacti. Cactuses is not a word. Just for anyone out there that was trying to correct Jonathan in the chat. Vortex in, Fearless. He does have that Axe Vortex. Tier 3 tower, dropping very fast. Savage doesn't have the meta, but doesn't really need it right now. Feels very confident with the Aegis Satanic and the cheese that he'll be able to just survive through anything they throw at him, and they'll get the top racks. They'll leave the range behind. EMP Tornado is there onto Masaros, and now the stop. Carl, a cheeky meatball from the sky. It's going to burn through most of Masaros' HP, and now the Sunstrike. Carl being very cheeky there on the Invoker. Doesn't quite get the kill, but points for effort.
And then they still get space out to keep this push going mid. Double siege creeps, greater treants. Toy has to be really careful standing up front like that.
He's kind of been the bait for the team, it almost feels like. Savage has got the meta back up now. Vortex is there. They've caught out Zephyr. They want the Titan dead, and they do get him. That's a dieback once again, but Savage now, he'll get to work onto set 0. Pops the borrowed time. Again, that Bulwark is taking so much damage away from Savage as all the attacks just fly to Masaros. Arrow. Oh, they've got the Terrorblade. But Savage, he'll eat the cheese, he'll be alright. A big Vortex in the backside, but still not enough. It might force them back, though, as everyone's falling quite low. They still have the Aegis, however. Big shield, or rather spear, is there onto Savage. They've got the TB. He can't get the Sunder in time. They find him a second time. Vortex, no, Orchid is there, but the Lotus Orb gonna buy Savage time. The Vortex, though, is massive in the backside. Fearless, he's been Orchided up. They've got him. They've got the Storm down without buyback. But if they can find Savage, it'll be well worth it. Satanic popped, will try to heal back up. He still has support behind him. Just trying to make his escape, but Masaros just won't leave the man alone. Q will go in with the Starfall now, but there's your reflection out. And Savage gonna go for a quick TP. Masaros, no, he gets a spear in time. He's got the TB down. Cuckoo, he will make it out. But they do at least take down 23 Savage.
Great fight coming out from Motivate.Trust, at least saving their mid tier 3 and racks, so they don't have to worry about losing multiple lanes. Their top is still going to naturally shove in, but this is a big opportunity for them to kind of get some farm back up, try to get some of those tier 4s up and running, and they do at least find a couple of them. Still need more. Toy with the Daedalus is hitting hard, and he is starting to bring a pretty good fight onto Savage. I think it's at this point where Savage, he's going for the Daedalus as well, but it feels like he's going to need the Ags or refresh up soon.
Toy, not going to really lose that much mana to the EMP. T2 tower under siege. Without Savage around, it's going to be very, very challenging to try and expect a defense. T2 is going to drop. They won't even bother trying. Going back to that last team fight, John, these Bulwark blocks here from Masaros, I mean, it's too much. He's blocking 70% of the attacks. And he's taking no damage either. He's just standing there, just tanking all these hits, no problem. What do you do about that? Like, as T1, you need a way to figure that out, right? Like, what are you going to do about it in the middle of a team fight?
Maybe one way to kind of correct that is force staffs, just force Masaros all the way outside, elsewhere, away from his allies, and just kind of put a lid on that there. If he's not next to them, it can't redirect his way, so you can just kind of toss him out. Maybe a bunch of chain ults as well. When BKBs fade, ults him up, and that could work.
And just proc, BKB used up as well. Arrow is right behind. It's not going to connect, but just barely. Carl avoids it. Masaros still lands a spear, however, in the arena. They might have enough, and they will. They've got Carl down without a buyback, and you see the Moonlight Shadow immediately popped here from Motivate. They want to try and force the fight right now. Whitemon around to get the vision. They know exactly what's happening now. They'll back off to the base. Cuckoo will get away with the TP. Q unable to get the Yule Scepter off in time. Looks like Cuckoo's just going to try and split push the bot wave. What happened, John?
T1 lost their leveler. It went to Masaros.
Oh.
That is pretty big. I mean, they could just swap around the neutral on their Dusa if they want. She will hold on to the flicker, but yeah, she's got the leveler in the backpack now as well. So you can just swap around for the high ground push. And that would have been really nice for T1, but just a small mistake, clearing out the camp, not picking it up. It's costly. They're down 1 tier 4. They need every source of damage they can get.
I don't think he cleared it on purpose, John. I think it might have been the tornado. Just killed one of the...
Oh, yeah. Yikes.
Oh, you know, these neutral items. Who knows? They might not be here after this next patch. Can only hope. So
You never know.
Yeah.
You never know. Let's
What do
see
you
how
replace it with?
radical the process. Power-ups on the river.
Yeah.
From a big monster, like you love to point out. You know, it's somewhere close by, opposite side of Roshan. Could give it a nice name. Nashor, Roshan reverse, you know, that could work.
Nashor?
Are scanning.
Where the hell did you
I
get that
know.
name from? It's terrible.
It's Roshan in reverse. It's clever.
Ah,
Very creative.
Very creative, Jonathan. Top lane, Cuckoo. He's going to start pushing out that lane as well. That's a terrible name, John. It's a terrible name.
Oh, God bless. Yeah, it is terrible. I'm not... Yeah, nah. I know what else to call it. What would you... Maybe put Aghanims in there. You know, like actual Aghanims from the Labyrinth. Right? Like, we
Yeah.
expected something with that guy. He looked pretty cool.
I mean, he could get a remodel, let's be honest. You know, I thought he would look a lot cooler than Octopus Man, but, you know... You know, it's fine, it's fine. You know, Aghanim had his time. Leave him be now, John. But that would be a nice idea. You can give the Axe Blessing as well, right? It makes
Oh, yeah.
sense.
Just remove it from second Roche, because it's way too strong right now. Smoke out, T1. Looking to get an opportunity. Q has a Dagon.
Yes, he does, and he's going to get jumped immediately by Cuckoo. Nice spear, though. Masros there to help out. It's going to be a full-scale team fight. Stomp does nothing. Set 0. Just going to make sure Masros remains protected. He is taking a lot of damage, though. But in from the backside, Fearless and Toy move in with the Stone Gaze. Flicker from Savage, not going to do enough. He's going to have to try and man-fight Toy here. Meanwhile, Whitemon does end up dropping. Reflection out. So who are you aiming? Masros again with the shield up is just tanking all the projectile hits. But they might be able to finally take him down. They've got the Mars down without buyback. He's finally dead, and now Toy, he's taking way too much from Savage. Sunstrike down as well, won't quite land. It won't matter though, because Savage, he is still going to work. Reflection out, flicker away, Toy. He might just make it back to the base. Carl, any spells to throw out? Not quite. Once again, Flicker saves the day. Q gets Cuckoo. Dagon.
It does work out for Q in the end. And T1, Cuckoo, no buyback, long respawn. They can't commit for the push now. Good kills coming out from Motivate.Trust. Lots of back and forth. They keep focusing Masaros, as you point out. Like they keep trying to just prevent that bulwark from being an issue. It's still an issue. Like I think they have to just chain stun Masaros first.
John.
Try to get that Earth Splitter there and get running, yeah?
Look at this. Double damage, Roshan up in 5 seconds. Are you kidding me?
Of course.
How often?
Wait there, Savage.
Savage, no.
Ben.
Oh, Savage, you've got to be watching the game, sir. This happens every
Oh,
game.
there you go, there you go.
Oh, White
There's
One knows.
pins.
See, White One's been watching. He knows.
Oh man, a refresh as well. So Metamorphosis on the second life, a possibility. They do scout out for the arrow. Need to zip in here. Fearless. Lots of pressure on him to contest if he wants, but he's not going to make it.
Certainly not. He is going to go in eventually with the Vortex. Just to make sure there was no items left behind, I guess. So there was 3 items, but Savage, he does take every single one. As every good POS one does. Just take everything.
Oh yeah. I mean, he really does need it though. The refresh especially, since he isn't building one himself, does need the Metamorphosis for the second life and the cheese to just extend that. It's going to be hard to pin down Savage at this point. For T1, again, going back to the point of Masaros, he is still a big issue to handle for T1, but I think he really melts when the Earth Splitter flies out. So they just need to ensure Earth Splitter, all the Invoker spells line up on that target and just melt him through attrition. Eventually the magic damage will overwhelm him and he's not going to be able to block much of it. So that's going to be the key part. It's going to be hard while the BKB is running, but it's only a 6-second BKB. It's not too bad.
This next team fight, Motivate.Trust, they have no choice. They've got to win it. Otherwise, you're looking at pretty much Megas coming up. Not many buybacks on the map right now. You do have Mastros with his backup. You're a bit short on Toy. Zip in. Vortex is there. Just by a bit of time. Arrow does also land, proccing the Aeon disc there on Carl. 23 Savage, he's hitting hard. There's your spear out. It does land on the sprout tree. Flicker is there. Savage going to try and fight back. Satanic has been popped. Can they kill him off in time? They can. They've got the Aegis. Toy in the middle of all this, trying to get the damage out, but a big stop. Zephyr will reset the fight. The Splitter's there. Chaos Meteor to fly through. Refresh is out as well. Terror Wave has been committed. Savage, he'll get to work, but again, Masaros, he's taking all the damage with his shield up. He'll just back off now. The Vortex in the backside again, Fearless. Look at the damage coming out from Toy on this Medusa. They can go onto the Terrorblade now. He'll Sunder, but he's alone. He's already refreshed. He does have another meta, but he probably can't get it off in time, and he's gone. Oh, it's a great team fight for Motivate. T1, they try to force it. And I've got to go back to Masaros, John. He's just taking too much damage away here from Savage.
Yeah, the best thing is, not only is his Bulwark an issue, what Masaros did in the last fight, he tossed Arena only on Savage. They all ran outside the arena. He couldn't get any hits outside at all. Right? Arena blocks all the projectiles inside going out, outside going in for enemy teams. If you isolate Savage like that, he just doesn't do damage. And Motivate.Trust just finds that condition to win out. T1 backs against the wall. They've lost the lead, 10k up for Motivate.Trust. They don't have cheese. They don't have Aegis left. They need to play their high ground well. And it's all down to spell use. They need to be able to kill off Masaros with the Invoker and with the Elder Titan Earth Splitter. But Fearless does such a great job to zip in and hold back the back line that it's very hard to get that specific spell targeting. Now, they are pushing for the tier 3 mid. They can't take Mega Creeps here. And I don't think they have enough time to really force tier 4, so it's not going to be a major loss. But Masaros is just posturing.
He's still putting that damn shield up. Vortex, oh, Fearless, he's caught too. They have a follow-up. Arrow does land, Carl. Aeon Disc going to be proc. Tornado is there. They've got one Rax already. EMP, it's going to drop. That'll be enough. They'll try to get everyone else out as Masaros, he'll just tank all the damage. Another nice Vortex. Fearless in with that massive AoE Vortex, and Carl, he's down. He's got no buyback. Whitemon to drop as well. There's two heroes down without buyback now. T1, it's a very hard defense out. Cuckoo's going to jump in with the Sprout. There's your meta being popped by Savage. But what can he do? Dagon's there. Cuckoo, he's gone as well. He'll have to commit the buyback. Toy, though, jumping in the backside. Stonegate's committed immediately. Savage needs to back out. Are they going to force tier 4s? Motivate, they will give it a shot. Savage almost flickered into the arrow there. Divine Rapier's up. Toy, he's got it on the courier. It's on the way. Meanwhile, Cuckoo, he's trying to rat the base. He went for the top racks. He's going to back out immediately as Savage. He'll keep the fight up, but Masaros is taking all the damage away again. Toy is not taking any damage right now. In fact, now he is. They got the silence off. Toy, he's out of mana. They've lost set 0. The Divine is actually not on the Medusa. They kept it on the courier, just outside the base, just to make sure. Toy is dropping too much. He has saved himself the pain of losing the Divine, and he will send the courier back now. But Savage, he can get back to work onto Q now. Dagon out onto Cuckoo, won't be enough. They've got the damage. Man, oh man, had Toy brought that Divine, John, that could have been an absolute disaster, but he does save it. It's going back home.
Yeah, the key thing now is T1 need to get a lot from this downtime. Maybe force some buybacks. There's a double damage rune here. No Roshan, unfortunately, so it doesn't line up. But they should be able to apply a ton of pressure. Maybe even force, again, 2-3 buybacks out with a nice push down mid. Very risky play, as you are short on buyback on Savage. So you might fall flat here if you do get caught out. And they do eventually buy back, at least on the Abaddon. So something has to be done to stabilize the lanes. They are doing a good job here and Motivate to keep the bot lane at least shoved out. But they will start the pressure here in T1. And that should be the signal to go home, though.
It's just all about forcing the buybacks. That's exactly what they'll get. Even if you have that double... Ooh, Savage is going to find a couple couriers here. Fearless? I believe that's his Refresher Orb. And yeah, it is. So the Refresher Orb now on the Storm means you're going to have 2 Vortexes in a row. Going to be very nice. See how effective he can be with that item. And John, we're about 9 minutes away from tier 5 items. How exciting.
Oh yeah, I didn't even realize. Like, the game's just been really action-packed. 51 minutes in. Tier 5 items, T1, hopefully they don't lose anything on the ground this time. maybe they get the Ballista and they win. Because that's what we tend to see with Terrorblades. You just grab Ballista, then you kind of just win the game. If you're lucky.
He's got that Divine Rapier on the hero now. Moonlight Shadow up. Looks like they want to try and make a play. Metamorphosis and Terror Wave are both available if they could somehow find Savage. He's going to blink into them. He'll flicker out. He'll be alright. They do not make the jump in. They weren't expecting that. Neither was I, as you could probably tell. Motivate.Trust. Not going to make the jump in. Instead, continuing to just slowly push out this mid wave. Fearless not there with the team. He's going to sit back. Aghanim Scepter now up on Karl as well. So you do have the Cataclysm plus the Hex out and set 0. It's going to be targeted. Cuckoo's going to come in. Again, Sight Device is now available. They Dagon down one of the TB Illusions. However, he's just going to jump in now with the Terror Wave. Back in onto the Abaddon. That'll be a dieback. However, the Ancient, they're focusing down the Ancient. They're not even fighting. Tornado out. Motivate.Trust there going right for the Jugular. And they're going to get it, it looks like. They just can't stop them. Oh, they rat them out. The tips there for Savage. Who needs a team fight when you can go right for the Ancient?
Oh god, Motivate.Trust. They ride the storm, and they had a lot of faith in their lineup. Master is doing a ton of work to really stall out that game with his bulwark. T1 for a long time were just focusing on that Mars in the fights, and it just took way too long to get the kills. They got punished eventually. There was a lot of good back and forth coming out from Motivate.Trust. And T1 did play spectacularly well, considering. Like, they got the farm up in Savage, they hit these timings with Karl. Cuckoo was very active early on. But the late game, the Mars durability was too much. Toy was just unable to survive in the middle, and Fearless, once the Ags was up, had too much control. Love the plays coming out from Motivate. Again, Arena just to isolate 23 Savage, just to ensure he wouldn't hit anyone inside or outside, was huge. And it just meant that Savage, despite all that farm, if he can't hit people, you're not really using that farm.
Oh, it's just great performance here from Masteros, particularly on that Mars. Of course, we are going to have a 10-minute break, and right after that 10-minute break, we're going to be back with Game 3's draft between Motivate.Trust and T1.